All right, we're almost ready to get started here, folks. God, man, this thing did it again. Look down another one. Yeah, this thing's busted. Had to get another one. Hey, Dean! Dean's here. Yeah, I've got my microphone holder is breaking. Every day it just gets a little bit further and further and further. Make sure I'm over here now. Let's see. The channel. There it is. So now I can see that too. I can now see that I'm live everywhere. I got so much crap going on in this place. Anyway, folks, we're getting ready to get started here. Dave's working on a couple things we're going to be talking about tonight. The big gun control lie and how it actually is going to affect your rights. Even though they keep telling you it's not going to affect your rights. We're going to talk about that tonight. Then some stuff I got to say about the Uvalde Police Department. Some things like that. So we're going to have a good time. I'm just finishing up one more thing here. And we'll be able to go live. And then we'll be done. Dave, you about ready? He's giving me the head shake. He's saying yes. Okay, so that's good. Oh. Station managers let me know that AC is not going to be a thing today. All right, cool. Studio's warm. We're hot. We're ready to go. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for the one and only world famous Rich Wilson show. Right here, right now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the world famous Rich Wilson Show. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the world-famous Rich Wilson Show. I'm Rich Wilson, and you're not.
He keeps telling us that we're not him. Why does anybody want to be him?
All right, so anyway, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. So today, we've got some information from Secretary Granholm, I don't know. Half these people who work for the Biden administration, I can't pronounce half their names. Anyway, we're going to be talking about our energy secretary. We're going to talk about the big gun lie. And Supreme Court made a ruling today. Not the ruling everybody was hoping for. It may be tomorrow night. I don't know yet. We'll find out. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the bill that passed it hasn't passed the Senate. They broke the filibuster officially. Now, what a filibuster is when they tie up a bill basically through basically what they do is they keep proposing measures to speak. And they continuously do this over and over again in Senate procedure to try and keep a vote from happening. Now, of course, the Democrats have been all over the news lately going, we got to get rid of the filibuster. We got to get rid of the filibuster. I don't think they were saying that when old Dusty Harry Reid was involved in that. When he was making that very, very famous. So let's talk about it, shall we? Okay, so I've got some video tied up for you. Let's see here.
For the first time in decades,
let's get this going. I do apologize in advance if you were getting the double audio from the intro. It happens. Sometimes I forget it double feeds when that's on. But anyway, let's see what the press had to say about this, shall we? All right, let's go. Dave, bring up the screen. Let's show everybody. All right, this comes from CBS News.
For the first time in decades, the Senate took a major step toward passing new gun legislation, but the measure still faces several hurdles before making it to the president's desk. Ed O'Keefe explains.
The motion is agreed to.
Overnight, the Senate took its first steps towards passing major gun-related legislation in an attempt to address recent mass shootings in New York, Texas, and California. The bill is a bipartisan deal that would expand gun background checks for people under 21, allowing up to 10 business days to review juvenile and mental health records. It provides federal money for states enacting new red flag laws designed to temporarily seize guns from people deemed dangerous. And it closes the so-called boyfriend loophole, preventing partners convicted of domestic abuse who live outside a victim's home from buying a gun.
We have a chance to break
we're
this
going to talk about tonight.
30-year period of silence. It is a compromise. It is a bipartisan compromise.
There's also hundreds of millions of dollars more for mental health and safety resources in schools, plus tough new penalties for those that buy and then turn around and sell a weapon to anyone barred from owning guns.
I want to make sure we actually do something useful, something that is capable
Now
of
understand
becoming a
Cornyn,
law.
who that
The
is.
National Rifle Association opposes the agreement, saying it does little to truly address violent crime
Uvalde as well.
and opens the door to unnecessary burdens on the exercise of Second Amendment freedom. But that doesn't seem to bother negotiators, eager to show Congress can do something, anything, to address gun crimes.
It's a good start, and I think it's going to give us a lot of help for children.
Here at the White House, aides say President Biden is supportive of this deal. We may hear him say more about it later today. Senate leaders anticipate the legislation will be passed by them by the end of this week. And then over in the House, Speaker Pelosi says she's hoping to hold a vote on it as soon as possible. Anne-Marie?
I know that the president said that he was pleased with it, even though he's not getting everything that he asked for. When it comes to the sentiment among Republicans, is the overall mood on gun legislation, has that changed significantly? Because we heard Mitch McConnell sort of praise this bipartisan effort, which I don't know if we would have heard that, a few years ago.
Let's remember something. This isn't just gun legislation. This is gun-related and mental health legislation. If you're somebody who supports expanding universal background checks, banning assault weapons, enacting federal red flag laws, this is not your bill. If you're somebody who wants tougher school security, much more money poured into mental health in order to address the concerns that a lot of these shooters have mental health issues, this is kind of your bill. If you're somebody who's concerned about the boyfriend loophole, or the idea that somebody who might be convicted of abusing a woman but doesn't live with her because he's not the boyfriend, he's not the husband, maybe he's an ex-boyfriend, he now could potentially
wait till I shoot
have
a
his
hole
gun
in
rights
that.
revoked at least for 5 years. That's in this bill. There is a expansion of background checks for people between the ages of 18 and 21. So there's modest changes, plus hundreds of millions of dollars now to address mental health and school safety concerns. And that's most of the stuff that Republicans like to see. They understand expand background checks for younger users because we've seen so many shootings in recent years committed by people between the ages of 18 and 21. They can appreciate that putting up more federal money for states that decide to do red flag laws is okay. So it's not done at the federal level, but it maintains states' rights and lets them decide. That's why you're seeing 14 Republicans last night move forward with this idea of debating the bill and then likely to support it as well. That was the magic sauce in this evenly divided 50-50 Senate. We'll see how it does over in the House, because Democrats understand, again, not everything is in there. And you see in their statements, they say, this is good, good first start, great to see bipartisanship, but the fight isn't over. So you will see Democrats campaign for this going into the fall, saying we got to put more Democrats in Congress to try to get it done. And there are Republicans opposed to this, saying, first of all, it was written really quick and you asked us to vote on it before we got a chance to read it.
Yep.
And it infringes on Second Amendment rights. That's why the National Rifle Association is also opposed. But either way, Anne-Marie, in a town that can rarely agree on things like when to have lunch, it's impressive to see that they're debating this and likely going to pass it in a true sense of bipartisan compromise. All
right, so there's that one. Okay. All right, so there's a couple lies in there already. And yes, you're right. The bill's a lie. No one read it. Those are saying no. Yep, it is. This bill does not do what they say it does. Okay. I've got. Let's see here.
This morning, after decades of partisan gridlock, a major.
Oh, give me a second. All right, let's see what they've got to say about it. Bring it back up. All right, so I got a couple little small videos, and then we're going to go into it.
This morning, after decades of partisan gridlock, a major breakthrough in Congress. 14 Republicans joining all 50 Democrats to advance a new compromise on gun restrictions.
This is a breakthrough. And more importantly, it's a bipartisan breakthrough.
The deal includes enhanced background checks for people between 18 and 21. Closing the so-called boyfriend loophole, preventing romantic partners convicted of domestic violence from buying guns, directing more money for states to implement their own plans to address gun violence, and billions for school security upgrades and mental health services.
This grant program will give every state funding that implements programs that they themselves have adopted to stop individuals in crisis from reaching the point of violence or self-harm.
Despite the progress, the bill falls well short of what some Democrats, including President Biden, had pushed for in the wake of recent mass shootings in Uvalde and Buffalo. There is no ban on assault rifles, no universal background checks, and no sweeping red flag laws that would allow authorities to temporarily confiscate guns from potentially dangerous people.
That's not entirely true
but
either.
Top Democrats are touting the agreement.
Congress is back on the path to take meaningful action to address gun violence.
And Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell calls the deal a common-sense package of popular steps that will help make these horrifying incidents less likely, while fully upholding the Second Amendment. The NRA quick with its opposition last night, saying in a statement this legislation can be abused to restrict lawful gun purchases and infringe upon rights of law-abiding Americans. Now, on the other side, one top Senate Democrat says the bill is not everything that is needed, not by a mile, and that she and others will continue pushing for tougher laws. But she said she supports the agreement because, in Senator Patty Murray's words, the most extreme option on the table is doing nothing at all. Savannah?
All right, Peter, thank you very much.
Okay. I think we've now heard enough on that end. So I told you that we're going to discuss 3 major things that they've got wrong, that are lies. 3 major things. Okay. All right. So you guys ready? Lie number 1. Current law only bars domestic abusers who have been married to or lived with the victim or have a child with them from buying a firearm. Lawmakers expanded the definition to include current or recent former dating relationships with the victim though the change cannot be applied retroactively. That's bullshit. Would you like to hear why? If you are convicted of domestic abuse, doesn't matter if you live with them now, you lived with them then, you never lived with them, you can't buy a firearm. Okay? You cannot buy a firearm. So that's a load of shit, right? That's straight up. Current law only bars domestic abusers who were married to or lived with the victim. Not true. Texas. Everybody says Texas has the loosest gun laws. Convicted of domestic assault charge of some kind, whether it be abuse, sexual assault, things of that nature, you cannot own a firearm. You're prohibited from ownership of a firearm. Okay? There was no boyfriend loophole. Because in the state of Texas and state of Nevada, which I have experience in law enforcement there, okay, you can get domestic abuse even if you don't reside with your girlfriend or boyfriend. If you kick the crap out of your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever you want to say, and we arrest you for it, if you own any firearms, they get confiscated. Period. Okay. I'm going to get to that. You're jumping ahead on me there, station manager. So this right there is a lie. Current law only bars domestic abusers who have been married to or lived with. Information came from These are the talking points from the U.S. Senate. Okay. So no, sorry about your luck, but that's already against the law. You in almost every single state, if you do not reside. In fact, it doesn't even matter. It's what they call all 50 states have what's called the domestic partnership rule. Okay. And they passed this back when they were working on trying to get gay marriage legal in all 50 states. They have what's called the domestic partner law. Okay. All 50 states have this. You can get arrested and charged with a form of domestic assault or abuse. It's kind of the same thing. Okay. If it involves a person that you have a relationship with, whether it be intimate, blood related, or association with, you can get hit with a domestic abuse charge if you kick the shit out of your own friend. There has to be some kind of a relationship there. Or has been. Now, the other thing that this does, and Crowder is the one that talked about this today, and he's absolutely right because I cross-checked it. And in fact, I have it sitting here. Give me a second. Let me bring it up. Let's see. Here's the problem you have with this, right? So say you got a Psycho X. Right? And by the way, statistically speaking, because they call it the boyfriend loophole, did you actually know that women are charged with domestic abuse at a much higher percentage than men? And not because men not because, men just keep women from reporting it. That's not the case. And in fact, the Department of Justice statistics say that actual lesbian women commit more acts of domestic violence and abuse against their same-sex partners than straight men do against women. Okay? So we're going to call it the boyfriend loophole. Why hasn't the left come out and said, well, we can't do that because now you're genderizing it? Okay, so here's the problem with this. Say you got a Psycho X. We all have a Psycho X out there. We all do. Okay, we all have a Psycho X. Say your Psycho X decides she's going to get it back at you. She decides to go to the cops, right, and report you for domestic violence. Say you don't live together anymore, but she ran into you in public and you hit her. And say she goes to a friend and gets a friend to smack her in the face so she has a mark. Well, the cops are required by law to do an investigation. Under this law, which this is where it infringes on your Second Amendment, your constitutional rights. And the NRA does deal with this. If you go to NRA's website, their entire breakdown of how this law violates your constitutional rights is in there. The problem is it's so damn long, I didn't want to bring it up, so I'm just going to give you some of the key points. Once you're being investigated for domestic abuse, the red flag law in this bill can trigger. A judge can deem that you were considered a threat. The moment that the DA is made aware that this investigation is happening, the DA goes to the court. The court says, yep, during this investigation, they could be a threat to this woman. Therefore, we want you to seize any guns he owns. Now, here's the problem. They drop the investigation, right? Say, oh, it's unfounded. Or better yet, judge decides during this time frame he's going to give you a 72-hour restraining order, or say a 6-month restraining order while they do the investigation. Okay, 6-month investigation comes to an end. Rathalos over here. I don't have a Psycho X. Lucky man. You were amazingly lucky, sir. Let me tell you. Okay, so anyway, say 6 months goes by, they decide they're going to drop the charges. Yes, roommates beating the crap out of each other, Dean, is domestic violence. I wasn't going to reference that, but I know what you're talking about. Okay, so say they do 6 months. At the end of the 6 months, they decide there's nothing there. They don't renew the restraining order, and they drop the investigation. Do you think you get your guns back? You do not. You do not get your guns back. You, in the bill, if you read the bill, I can't remember exactly what page it's on, but I can provide a link for you guys. Well, I can't do it in the chat. I'll get myself blocked. But I'll provide a link on my Discord channel. If you guys want to go to the Discord channel, I'll have a link up in the Discord channel that will allow you to see the link to where you can read the 80-page bill. Okay. You have to go to the court once the court has deemed you a threat, and the investigation's over, you're no longer a threat. You have to go to the court. You have to file the fees yourself. You do not get representation. You have to pay for your own lawyers to go in there and argue to the court to release you from the red flag law to get your shit back. Now, here's the next thing. It goes on the record that you've had a confiscation under red flag. It goes onto record. That way, if you get investigated again for anything whatsoever, they could pop you again because you're already in there. It goes on your record that a judge ordered your guns confiscated under the red flag rule. That's a violation of your constitutional rights. Every part of that is a violation of constitutional rights. I have no issue with the red flag law as long as the moment that law enforcement reports back that you didn't do anything wrong, you automatically you can go to the sheriff's department and get your shit back and go home. But instead, and you're right, there is no due process. They just seize your shit without any kind of a hearing, without any trial. It's just the DA's office will go to the judge and say, hey, judge, they're investigating him for this, and they could take your shit. That's what it says. That's what it says. And that is a clear violation of due process. That is a clear violation of your Second Amendment rights because you've not been convicted of anything. Okay? And until you're convicted of it, so just an investigation, which can be reported by anyone. Literally, if you're walking down the street, you get into an argument with your significant other. A citizen can report you for mentally abusing your spouse or your other person you are with, and poof, an investigation starts and you can have your stuff taken. That's how general this statement is. That's how general this law is. This is another reason why they gave senators 2 hours. They released the entire bill 2 hours before they voted on it. They never had a chance to read 80 pages. I couldn't read that bill as good as I am at understanding law. I couldn't read an 80-page bill in 2 hours to make a vote. I would have voted no. They'd have gotten on TV and said, well, Congressman Wilson, Senator, let's just say I was a senator, and they said, Senator Wilson, he didn't vote yes for this. He doesn't support gun safety. My ass been on every news channel. The reason why I didn't vote for it is they didn't give us enough time to even read the damn thing. I am not voting on a bill that affects my constituents unless I have a chance to read it and be able to vet it. Period. That's the reason why I would have said no until I got a chance to read it. I would have voted that shit down. I'm like, not supporting anything you throw out there on the floor unless I have a chance to read it and go through it. I don't care what the bill is. I wouldn't sign a damn thing. That right there violates due process. It violates your Second Amendment, your right to bear arms. Seriously. It can even possibly skirt your right to freedom of speech. No one realizes with all these new laws, they're not stopping anything except our liberties, and people are happy about it. What the hell? And I'm dead serious. It's another set of laws. Like I said, domestic abuse. The domestic partner rule is in all 50 states. And if you get convicted of domestic abuse, you can't own a firearm. You already can't own one. So it's pointless. Let's go to line number 2, shall we? Let's go with number 2. That we were just talking about that, okay? Helping states implicate so-called red flag laws, which allow authorities to temporarily confiscate guns from people deemed dangerous, as well as other intervention programs. Let's read that again together. Helping states implement so-called red flag laws, which allow authorities to temporarily confiscate guns from people. So what that means is, while you're under investigation, not convicted, not charged, they could take your shit from you. And then you got to fight to get it back. You actually have to go before the court and argue your ability to have your guns back. And what this also allows you to do, because I'll get into this in a minute, this is going to be a lot harder than you think it is. People are like, oh, well, if you didn't do anything, you should be fine. I'm going to tell you how it's going to be a lot harder than you think it is, okay? The blue media and the Biden White House lies about what's in them. You've heard what they said. They made it sound benign. Yep, they made it sound benign, right? Yeah, it's not. All right, ready for number 3. Funds devoted to boosting school safety, in addition to legislation that would toughen penalties for those evading licensing requirements, are making illegal straw purchases, buying and then selling weapons to people barred from purchasing handguns. It's already against the law, and it's already pretty goddamn severe. If I try to sell a firearm to someone who I know cannot own a firearm, that's felony number 1. They go knock off a liquor store with a firearm. I'm now responsible for that. That's felony number 2. If they happen to kill somebody in knocking off the liquor store, there's felony number 3, and actually felony number 4, which is the gun that I sold him. He committed a felonious act in the commission of a crime using a deadly weapon, and let's see, and threaten the lives and the safety of individuals. Okay, so disregard to safety. I got 6, 7, 8 felonies coming my way for selling a firearm to somebody who can't own a firearm if they go do something stupid with it. If I'm lucky, they don't ever do shit, and the worst I got is the 1 felony. But you don't understand that they can tag all those felonies onto you that person did with the weapon you... And the worst part and they call it illegal straw purchases. Okay, but what you don't understand is the attempt is to outright ban, say, my son's in the other room or in the other part of the house. He's going to be 10 years old on Friday or on Saturday, right? Say when he turns 16, I buy him a firearm as a gift. What they're pushing to do with this legislation is prohibit me from being able to do that. That's why I said the original charge, the first charge, 75, is I can't sell to somebody who can't own a firearm. And then if they go do something stupid, I get hit with a whole bunch of felonies after that, because every action he takes with that firearm is associated back to me selling it. Therefore, I am liable. Nevada's pretty damn stiff on it. I can tell you Nevada and Texas is pretty stiff on it. And in fact, because that kid had possession of handguns at the age of 18 in Uvalde, whoever sold him those handguns is going to get charged. They're going to get charged for what they did. Okay? Because you can't own, in the state of Texas, at the age of 18, you can't own a handgun. You can own a long rifle, but you can't own a handgun. And he also had 2 handguns with him. That's illegal in the state of Texas. So whoever sold him the handguns is going to get in trouble too. In the state of Texas, even if it's your relative gave it to you as a gift, you can't do that in the state of Texas. Under the age of 21 cannot have possession of a handgun in the state of Texas. Okay, but say I want to buy my son a long rifle for his birthday. He's coming up on 10 years old. Say I want to buy him a long rifle. However, I'm going to keep that weapon in possession until he turns 18, which is where he's legal. Well, not now after this passes, but anyway. Okay, but say this current law stays in effect. I still can't give it to him at the age of 18. I have to sell it to him through a licensed dealer. He's my kid. Now, what does that prevent? Parents from giving their kids, who are assholes, a gun. Okay, I can see the argument on that. But what about the kids that didn't do nothing wrong? I can't. It's been a tradition in my family forever. It's been a tradition and, families, as far as I know, either responsible gun owners, that, hey, the kid when he turns almost like a graduation. Yeah, you can't give your father, your wife, your mother. You can't give it. Now, the original provision that the Senate tried to draft, but they took it out, was in the exception as that they were a blood relative. They took that out of the bill. That was originally in there. There is a clause that says that you may not be held liable if you are not aware that they're going to intentionally commit a crime. However, I couldn't find it. I'm going to look for it and see if it's still in there. But still, it is still illegal to sell to sell a serialized post-ban, or the pre-ban, post-ban doesn't exist anymore. Okay, it's still illegal for me to sell my handgun that I currently, one of my handguns I currently have in a box sitting right behind me, which, by the way, hasn't shot anybody since I've had it. Just don't know about that. Okay, but it is still illegal for me to sell that firearm to anyone without a background check, because of it being a semi-automatic pistol. And in that note, okay, it's got to go through a background check. Now, if that was an antique, or if it was a certain type of rifle, stuff like that, doesn't have to have background check. But even if I wanted to sell it to one of you, we'd still have to get a background check done. I can't just sell it to you as a private sale without it because of law. Law already says I have to get a background check done to sell it to you. Means I have to go through a licensed dealer because I'm not one. Now, if I want to sell my shotgun that's in the other room to you, I could do that without a license. Because you don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to pass a background check to buy a shotgun. You don't. So these are the three big lies that are in that. Okay? Those are three big lies that are involved in this legislation. Okay? Now let's talk about the background check for juvenile and mental health records. Gives them up to 10 days to do a search. Now, see, this is where the Biden administration, this is one of the things that caused Biden administration to be upset about this. Number one, federal authorities can't do confiscation under red flag laws. Now there's a background check going into it. But it can't be done at the federal level. It has to be done at local level. Okay? Even a Saiga drum feed semi-automatic shotgun? No. Semi-automatic shotguns you have to get background check on. You do not on a pump action shotgun. At least, unless they changed it, because I did own a semi-automatic shotgun at one time, and I had to go through the background check in order to purchase it. Washington State, you need background check for a shotgun. Okay, some states have background check requirements on shotguns. Texas does not. Nevada does not. Florida does not. And last time I bought a shotgun in Delaware, did not require one either, because I bought the damn thing at Walmart. They make me do a background check on it. But it's been a while, so that could have changed, and I could be off on that. Okay, so they're going to be dumping millions of dollars into states. And what Biden is upset about is we didn't get the federal background checks in. We didn't get and let me tell you why. And it's no secret. This isn't a conspiracy theory. Okay? How are they going to do a minor record when those are supposed to be sealed at the age of 18? When it comes to specific things that could trigger the prevention of them selling them the firearm, they will go into what is considered a secured database. And when I say this, I've already talked to friends of mine in law enforcement. They're already in the process of working on setting this up. The only way it can be accessed is if you are between the age of 18 and 21 and they submit the background check. The system itself will look for if there's any records on the individual that are in these certain file allocations. If there is nothing there, then it comes back saying no. What Biden wanted with the federal background check, what Biden wanted with these certain things, Biden wanted the federal government to oversee it because then Biden could turn around and go, we're not approving these. Biden could then give the order, you're not approving background checks, or you're going to delay them. But the Republicans in Congress said, look, the only way I'm going to go for the Republicans involved in this said the only way, there's a limitation, 10 days. At the end of 10 days, it is considered cleared. And that's why they're doing it through a computer system. Believe it or not, it's not that difficult, and it's not that hard to keep that secured. When only a certain access is allowed to get in there. No, what's going to stop them from using that same system to convict someone in a court of law? I see it as a slippery slope. It is a slippery slope. Okay. However, until they change judicial law, if a judge or if what you've done, if your state law says anything you've done before the age of 18 cannot be used in court against you for criminal convictions, then that's fine. In most states, almost every single state in America, I think actually the only state that doesn't have that is Alaska, believe it or not. I think Alaska is the only state that doesn't have that. A judge has to state that anything done prior to the age of 18 can be used. And most situations, it does not. The state rules that once you turn 18, your juvenile records are sealed. Warrants. You can't just run checks in these systems without due cause. Some are for CODIS and ARIS. Okay. When it comes to an investigation for criminal activity, sure. When it comes to this, it's the system, it's a computer program that will search. And there will be certain criteria that meet the denial process that are in there. Okay? And if it does, it doesn't even tell them what it is. It just states based on certain criteria, boom, they're not eligible to buy a firearm. Now, of course, the rule does say that you have to be 21 now to purchase a firearm. We all knew that was coming. Same for APHIS and CODIS. Oh, you were trying to say APHIS. I was like, what is ARIS? Is that new? It does say you got to be 21 to purchase a firearm. We all knew that was coming. I disagree with it, and the reason why I disagree with it, this is where I'm at. Either we don't consider you being an adult now until you're 21, or is it 18? Wait, 21 for all firearms? That's what I was understanding on that. Let me go look at that again to make sure. I believe it's in the very beginning of the bill. Let me look at the bill here. I know the legislation rule that the House set was you had to be 21 in order to purchase a firearm. Let me make sure. I want to make sure that's what it says. I want to be very clear. I'm looking at the bill right now. By the way, you can find it. It's Senate.gov. It's right there. I know that it's in here somewhere where it states that. And I just want to make sure I don't falsify any information to you. There's a lot of subsection clause paragraphs stating to the other paragraphs. Understand that in the beginning of this, when you go to read the bill, and I do recommend every single person read this bill. What you need to do is go through and, the first couple pages is going to suck reading through because it's proposals and amendments to the amendment of the proposal and the proposal which was brought forward and then brought back, and it's a mess. Your first 4 pages is amendments and proposals. That's why this is all. This is how it goes through. Oh, and here, one thing they don't talk about is they did close the, if it doesn't come back in 3 business days, you can let the person take the firearm with the agreement that if it does later come back, they have to return the firearm. It closes that. System provides license and unique identification. 3 business days have elapsed since the license contacted the system, and system is not notified the licensee. The cause exists to further investigate a possible disqualification. Individual cannot. This also applies to the juvenile record system. Individuals still cannot take possession of the firearm until there is a confirmed reception of the background check. Now, this says the juvenile records for 10 days. It no longer sets a limitation on how long a background check can take. So blue states could make that indefinite. There used to be a limitation on background checks. If it doesn't come back within a certain amount of time, which like in California, I think it's 7 days. You got a 7-day wait period, stuff like that. Certain states have certain waiting periods, stuff like that. And then at the end of that waiting period, if nothing comes back, you get the firearm. Now they've eliminated that altogether. Yep. Requirements relating to background checks and persons under the age of 21. It's under this section that a firearm regarding proposal transfer, prohibited transfer of a firearm to a person less than 21 years of age in accordance with subsection 922 Title 18 U.S. Code. So right in here, but it doesn't, see, then that's the problem with this, is it doesn't necessarily state you can't. It's stating that anyone under the age of 21 until the background check comes back, there can't be a transfer of the firearm. See, the thing is if they're trying to make it to where you can't be 21 to own a firearm at all, why have a juvenile record red flag background where you can check juvenile record between the age of 18 to 21 to purchase a firearm? See, this is where this bill gets confusing. And the NRA even said, and a couple people have already said, when you go to read this bill, you can't make heads or tails of it. And I'm looking at it right now, reading the section concerning a person under the age of 21 receiving a firearm, and it makes no sense. It's literally just garbage. It doesn't say you can't. It doesn't say you can. And it says if a person's attempting to purchase a firearm under the age of 21, they can't receive it without the background check. So it's saying they can, but then later on it says that they can't get and I'm looking at the Senate bill right now. I'm at senate.gov. Station manager is like House bill, not Senate. No, I'm looking at the Senate bill itself, And it's a freaking mess. This is an absolute mess. They even have a subsection on here. Provided in paragraph, any person who violates subsection should be fined under this title, imprisoned for not more than 15 years, to selling a firearm under the age of 16. What the hell? This thing's a mess. You can buy under 21, but you cannot receive without. Yeah, I understand that it says that, but the problem is, in one section it says you can't, another section it says you can, then it says a restriction on under the age, but not over the age, but you can't under the age, but you can over the age. This thing's ridiculous. Nevada, you can buy long weapons under the age of 18, or with a signed adult, you can purchase one at the age of 16. Like I said, I'm kind of speed reading through some of this, and this draft is so stupid, it's insane. Folks, I'm trying to read this bill, and there's a lot of shit in here that doesn't make any sense either. So I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know if it specifically bars it or what it does in this, because it contradicts itself and then overrides itself and then goes back. Yeah, gun laws. I felt like an adult when I was 18. I still gunless myself. I do have knives. I'm good for now until I have kids of my own. Yeah, this thing is a mess. If you go to the Senate.gov and you look up the bill, and try to read it, it's 80 pages, and there's like a good 7 or 8 pages where it just becomes a mess. It just becomes an absolute mess. And the worst part about it is, like I said, Biden didn't get what he wants because he wants the federal government to be able to control this. He wants to be able to stop it. And unfortunately won't be able to. This thing is a mess. It's a lie. It's a big lie. The only thing it really does is dumps millions upon millions upon millions upon millions of dollars into the system to the states to come up with their own shit. In a sense, when you really get down to it, the bill is like, we did something. You actually didn't, and you kicked it on down the line to the states. Well, this is a constitutional issue. This is not a states' rights issue. This is a federal issue. This shouldn't be a states' rights issue. Because that means people's rights are going to change based on who's in charge of your state. That's not how the Constitution works. It's a threshold to begin confiscation laws. Oh, and there was a provision in there for buyback programs. Also, they did not get a limitation on the magazines listed in there. That's one of the reasons why Nancy Pelosi's pitching a fit. There's no limitation on size of magazines in this thing. Right now, the commonality is nothing over 15 rounds. The House bill even said 15 rounds that they had. Joe Biden wants 10 rounds or less, which sucks for somebody like myself who owns firearms that their magazines are 15 extended mags or even more. They don't make a 10-round magazine for my handgun, which basically what this does is make, if they get the portions of the magazines and stuff to go through and certain parts gone through, it makes law-abiding citizens criminals. And once it criminal overnight would make half the gun owners criminals. Yeah, if they turn around, if Joe Biden gets what he wants in the House, if the House puts a provision in this, it goes back to Senate and passes. They can only have 10-round magazines. I instantly become a criminal. Because they want nothing to be grandfathered in. It even says that in the Senate bill that there is no grandfather dates on any of this. So if a 19-year-old owns a gun that say they alter, or the way that it reads in some of it is if you got an 18 or 19-year-old right now that owns a gun and never passed the juvenile background check, there's a provision in there that says that states could require juvenile owners of firearms to hand over their firearms and submit to a juvenile background check before they can get the firearm back. There's provision in there for that. It doesn't say that it's going to be federal law. It's a provision under the states, which is under recommendation subsection. That entire thing. I'm going to go to the NRA website later tonight or tomorrow, and I'm going to read what the NRA's argument is, because I have a feeling that I'm going to probably agree with a lot of what they say. As a person with a specialty in studies in constitutional law, I could find 4, maybe 5 different constitutional laws that have been violated here. I would be more than willing to challenge this in the Supreme Court. And we could just talk about the 2 majors: your rights to due process and your right to own firearm. Okay. Both of those are severely hindered by this. Most of this set up to allow blue states to go extreme and say, but we're just doing what the feds told us. Exactly. And just like what happened today, folks. Biden got hit with another blow. Let me see if I can pull it up so you guys understand this a little bit better. Like I said, I will get you the link to this. In fact, I'm going to put that in the Discord page. Let me go back to this. And okay, so it's going to take me too long to bring this up, and I'm running out of time. Supreme Court today ruled that the New York's restriction against an individual trying to get a concealed weapons permit was unconstitutional. They had blocked 2 individuals from getting a concealed weapons permit. The Supreme Court determined, because New York stated the reason why they didn't grant it is there was no reason. There was no legitimate reason for them to do it. Supreme Court ruled that was unconstitutional and a violation of their Second Amendment rights. Joe Biden again stated that he found this completely, that he was very disappointed in the Supreme Court, and that he believes that this needs to be challenged at a federal level. Of course, don't put it past Joe Biden to try to sign some goddamn executive order, because, well, he did more than President Trump and Obama did combined. All right, so let's get to the other. By the way, Joe Biden today. Remember yesterday we did the show, and we talked about how I played the video. I played the speech where Joe Biden said he was going to confront the oil companies today. He was going to have a conversation with them and really push. Joe Biden ran out of the White House like a scalded dog with his tail tucked between his legs, got on a plane, and took off before the meeting, because the Fed chairman has stated now that the inflation is not caused to Putin's war in Ukraine. That the price of gas is not caused. It has only minor implications to the war in Ukraine. Yeah, I know. He said that. Once again, he even said that the SCOTUS ruling, that the Second Amendment is not he did the bullshit where, the Second Amendment's not, is not indefinite or guaranteed. Yeah, actually it is. Second Amendment is very guaranteed. It is. Sorry about your luck, Joe. I've already shot in a hole in all your arguments when it comes to the Second Amendment anyway. But yeah, he decided he wasn't going to have a conversation with the oil execs today. Took off. Got out of town. Instead, he left it completely in the hands of Secretary Granholm. That's our energy secretary, the one who's heading up the delaying of approval of processes for the oil companies to drill on these thousands of permitted lands they have. There's the one responsible for it. Yeah. No, he said it was against the Constitution because Joe knows the Constitution better than SCOTUS. Yeah. Sure, Joe knows the Constitution better. Anyway, Secretary Granholm sat there and talked to him today, said progress was made, but still pushed the idea that oil companies need to be transitioning to cleaner energy products and renewable energy sources, and they need to do it as soon as possible. She also pushed that gasoline sales companies, such as i.e. the convenience stores, need to come down on their prices. Phillips 66 was one of the attendees today, which you all know is a gasoline company and sells gasoline, and told them that they need to lower their price. They also stated to the oil companies like ExxonMobil that they need to bring refineries back online and that they need to start producing more gasoline, but not increase the flow of oil to the refineries to make the gasoline. We're also talking about a secretary who stated that the price hikes have been happening because of global warming and because of the war in Ukraine and because of other global catastrophes and because aliens like to wear pants. I don't know about the last part, but God knows she's probably said that. Okay. The oil companies did respond back saying we need clearer information on regulations and we need you to remove the blocks you have put in place that are preventing this. And in fact, the CEO of ExxonMobil said the best way to secure the security of the United States of America is to go in-house on the oil, to pump oil and produce gasoline to where we don't have to get anything from overseas. That's ExxonMobil. ExxonMobil said that they would like to help the reduce of the cost of oil by producing more oil and pumping more gasoline out of the refineries, but has said due to restrictions they can't. The people that are working in these offices, you got a transportation secretary doesn't know the first damn thing about transportation. We got an energy secretary doesn't know the first damn thing about energy. I mean, who are these people? My 9-year-old is more qualified to run the energy department than she is. And they want all of this green energy and our end of dependence on fossil fuels by 2035. Ma'am, I could tell you right now, with what is even in production to be built, that will not happen, and nor will you authorize the test run to prove that a commercial thorium reactor works and can be used commercially. But you know what? Fuck it. Because the Chinese are going to have it, and they're going to laugh in our face and tell us all that, hey, look, we got thorium reactor. You do not. And then everybody's going to say, why didn't we build it? Well, because. By the way, for some of y'all wondering, what the hell is he talking about? This thorium reactor thing? Google it. Go watch a YouTube video on how this stuff works. Okay? You want clean? You want cleaner energy? Okay. It's because here's another problem. We're going to go to all electric by 2035. But we're not going to allow us to build, brand new power plants other than solar panels and wind farms. Okay. We don't have enough in this country and will not have enough in this country by 2035 in order to maintain an everybody on electric vehicles. Won't happen. Okay? It can't happen. It's not even viably possible. In the 8 years that Obama was in office and gave all those tax credits and all this money to green energy programs, how many solar energy farms did we get out of that? Hell, they put a big one here in the state of Texas, and it failed during the winter. How many wind farms did we get out of it? Not a lot. Hell, California's putting up wind farms before Obama even came along. I mean, go watch the movie Mac and Me from the 80s. They were already doing it. Okay. Then they want to go, well, we want to do what's good for the environment and hydroelectric. Do you know how much damage that the hydroelectric does to the environment? Because you think about it, you have a normal river, right? Normal river flowing down. You have an ecosystem, species of life, and all this. Then you put a dam on it, and you run a hydro, which means you have to flood one side, destroying all of that life. Think about that. Then what happens when the dam fails? Go watch some YouTube video documentaries when dam fails. In fact, I strongly suggest looking up Plainly Difficult. Watch what these dams do. It's damn horrific. Because in the beginning, nobody gave a damn. And they put in a dam. Then it became damn horrific. Just because they didn't understand the damn science and the damn engineering. Messed it all up. That's enough damn puns. But, you know, the thing is, we don't have the ability to sustain that. Our current energy grid, what do we do in the summertime when it gets hot and everybody wants to run air conditioners? Well, I could either have it 100 degrees in my house, or I could plug in my electric car. And we're not even going to get the discussion on how difficult there's a reason why electric cars cost so much. It's not because technology is just so new. If you're one of those idiots out there that argues technology is so new and that's why electric cars are so expensive, you're an idiot. Or you're extremely misinformed, or you're that gullible. Hopefully you're in the middle. Hopefully you're not an idiot and you're not that gullible. Hopefully you're just extremely misinformed. It is an expensive process to get the materials to make the battery systems in the electric cars. That's why they cost so much. Elon Musk even said so. He would love to be able to bring the price of the Teslas down. The problem is the cost of for the mining operation, refining operation, and everything else to put this into the cars costs so damn much. You don't have much of a choice. Which largely also comes from China. Okay? The mining operations to get the minerals is nasty to the environment. But then what are we going to do? So we're not going to have a power grid that can hold it, so what are we going to do? Well, we've got coal plants. Okay, so we built a car that requires electricity to recharge it, that's being plugged into a grid system that's mainly run by coal-fired plants. So we're harming the environment anyway. Okay. You know, it's kind of like we need to do something for the environment. We can't have plastic straws anymore. So we're going to have paper straws. But then we're going to wrap them in plastic. We're going to have electric cars that charge off of coal-fired plants. Just think about that stupidity, folks. And the amount of time it takes to build all this shit, you know, we could have thorium reactors in a lot of locations. It's straight stupidity. Straight stupidity. Let's see. My last thing I want to talk about was Uvalde. police department. Okay, there was a bunch of things that I wanted to say about it, but I want to say this. The individuals that were in that hallway that were law enforcement that waited 77 minutes to make entry in a classroom that wasn't even locked. I hope by the time they get done, they remove you from law enforcement. I hope I honestly, and I never thought I'd say this a day in my life after seeing all the things I've seen about it now and the real truth about what happened that day. If they don't hold you somewhat responsible for obviously neglecting your job duties, I hope you feel responsible for the death of those children and those two teachers. I seriously do. I never thought I would say this a day in my life. I never thought I would say that. I seriously never thought I would about law enforcement. And that officer who was in the hallway that tried to do something was removed. There's an officer in the hallway, by the way, that tried to go do something, was restrained by the law enforcement in the hallway, had his sidearm taken away from him and removed from the building. I hope that guy ends up being police chief. He was willing to end his life to try and save those children. But the police chief and the guys that were following his orders weren't. They were cowards. Folks, when you become a law enforcement officer, there's one thing you got to understand. None of us want to die. But just like being in the military, you understand that one day it may happen. One day your name may get called to be put as a signer on that check. And you understand that going into the job. You understand that putting that badge on. Just like you understand that when you slap U.S. Army, U.S. Marines, U.S. Navy, U.S. Air Force, U.S. Space Force on you. You understand one day your name could get called to sign the check. You don't want to, but you understand it could happen. They chose not to. They chose to sit back and wait. One officer he said he was going to do it, even if it killed him. His wife was one of the teachers in the room. And he made that decision. He was going to try to save those children and his wife. They restrained him and took his firearm away from him and escorted him out of the building. I hope that guy becomes police chief. Zion says, just because I back the blue doesn't mean they get a pass. Opposite, I demand accountability. The guy who ordered it deserves neglect and homicide charges. I never thought for the life of me in my life I would see a police department make that decision when children were being killed. Adults, it doesn't affect you as much. But when you know those are children in there losing their lives and you don't react to that, I don't want you anywhere near law enforcement because that tells me you're a coward and you're heartless. Period. You understand that when you take that job. All of us understand that. When you swear an oath to a constitution, or you swear an oath to the citizens of the county, city, state that you're in, You understand that is part of that oath, that may happen one day. Like I said, nobody wants to. We all want to go home. They said that in the police academy. They drilled that into our heads in my police academy. You want to go home. At the end of the day, you want to walk through your front door, kiss your wife, kiss your loved one in the mouth, and hug your kids. But there are some days where there's a possibility that may not happen. And by putting the badge on and by swearing that oath, you understand that. And I know there's going to be people, even my own fans, that are going to be upset with that statement. We were told the door was locked. We were told this. We were told that. It's all bullshit. The door was unlocked, and they sat in the hallway for 77 minutes and did nothing. Did nothing. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the show tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed the show, and hope you guys learned something today. Like I said, if you look on my Discord page, I will have the link to the Senate bill where you can go read it for yourself. It's going to be a pain in the ass read, trust me, but I'll tell you right now, you should check it out. The Discord link keeps popping up there. I hope you're able to. For some people, they're like, well, if I try to click on it, the click doesn't work. Screenshot the image when it's in full, then go to Google Lens, and it will pull the website for you. It's real simple. You bring up your picture, then say you want to look at your picture through Google Lens. The website will pop up. So will bellalevy.org. It'll pop up too. All right. So, guys, have yourselves a good night and enjoy yourselves. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, which doesn't leave you much room for error. For everybody here at the world famous Rich Wilson Show, I'm Rich Wilson. Thank you, Dave. You guys have yourselves a good night. We'll see you on the other side, which means Monday, because I believe tomorrow's Friday, isn't it? Isn't tomorrow Friday? Yeah. So no show tomorrow. We'll be doing it on Monday. We'll see you back here Monday. All right. Goodbye. I think. We didn't hit the right button. We just turned the link off, Dave, the right button. Thank you.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.